Good morning. This is Chris Kemp with the Newsreel Group. This morning I did an interview with Thomas Rymer. He is one of the spokespersons for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Now, earlier when I asked him, were they part of the UN? According to their own website at www.osce.org/EC/43240, the OSCE recognizes that the United Nations Security Council bears primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security. Thus, the United Nations is the OSCE's primary partner organization. In 1992, the participating states declared that the OSCE, at that time CSCE, to be a regional arrangement in the sense of chapter or of the chapter of the United Nations. In 1993, a framework for cooperation and coordination between the United Nations Secretariat and the CSCE was agreed upon, and in the same year, the UN granted the CSCE observer status. After September 11, 2001, cooperation has been further enhanced to include active OSCE support in the work of the United Nations and a specialized body in global efforts against terrorism. The shared UN OSCE agenda includes, now listen to this. This I think is very important for people to understand. Ratification and implementation of the 12 universal anti-terrorism instruments and other initiatives to combat terrorism, conflict settlement and peace building, early warning and conflict prevention, small arms and light weapons, border management, environmental and economic aspects of security, anti-trafficking, democratization and human rights, freedom of the media. The 2005 World Summit called on the United Nations to expand and cooperation with regional organizations. And on October 17th, 2005, the UN Security Council adopted Resolution S-1631, which provided for further enhancing cooperation between regional organizations and the Security Council. So you can read on from there and find out a lot of information. Now, like I said, this morning I did interview Mr. Rymer, who was not totally forthcoming when I asked the question of if they were partnered with the UN. However, after reading the information, they are. This seems to me, again, another violation of state sovereignty here in the U.S., which is very far reaching from what I'm seeing of the UN and the United States. Now, talking to him, he says both parties have asked for their assistance in monitoring elections. Both parties. So this tells you that both parties have sold out all of us. The U.S. Constitution means nothing to either party. I hope you get this. I hope you understand this is probably the opening salvo and the destruction of U.S. sovereignty. Anyway, here's the interview, and I will be following up during the election with Mr. Rymer. I'm Chris Kemp reporting closely. Hi, I'm looking for Thomas Rymer.
Yes, speaking.
Hi, Mr. Rymer. This is Nathaniel Kemp calling. I emailed you yesterday.
Yes. Sorry about getting back to you with this question today. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
I didn't get back to you this morning. I'm sorry, I was running around with.
Oh, totally understandable. I understand you're pretty busy over there. First of all, I'd like to find out, what is your position there in that region?
With regard to position, do you mean my personal position or the position of our organization?
The position in your organization.
What our organization does?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we're basically the organization that deals with issues of democratization and human rights within the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which is the world's largest regional security organization, and includes countries in North America, Canada, the United States, in Europe, and in Central Asia.
Wow. Okay. And I understand that you guys also monitor elections all throughout Europe. Is that correct?
All throughout the OSC area. There are 56 participating states, so we observe elections in that area, yes.
Okay. Now,
and North America as well.
Okay. Now, the reason that I'm making the call is there was an ad, actually an article posted on The Hill. And a lot of my readers and listeners to my podcast sent me a mass amount of emails regarding this. And it states that the United Nations affiliated election monitors from Europe and Central Asia will be at polling places around the U.S. looking for voter suppression activities by conservative groups. Now, is that article actually correct?
No, that's inaccurate on a number of levels. First of all, we're as I said, we're an independent, we're a self-standing regional security organization, not affiliated with the United Nations.
Oh, okay.
We were established in the 70s with the participation in the United States, which is a participating state now. And then as far as our election observation activities, we've been observing elections in the United States since 2002, and we were invited by the U.S. government, according to the U.S. government's commitment as a member of our organization. So we've been invited under this administration, a current Democrat administration, as well as a Republican administration before this one.
Okay. So you've been invited by the U.S. government to oversee the elections from both parties, Democrat and Republican.
To observe the elections, according to the OSC standards, have standards for democratic elections. They're also international standards, and the United States' own legislation. The U.S., as a member of the OSC, as a participating state, has committed itself to invite our office, the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, to come and observe and assess elections and to provide recommendations that would assist the United States or any participating state in improving the conduct of their elections.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm asking, a lot of civil rights groups, and this is from both sides of the aisle, are under the assumption, and I can't really blame them, that this is violating the U.S. Constitution and violating the nation's sovereignty of the U.S.
Well, that's not the case. As I said earlier, the United States, as a founding member, our founding participating state in the OSCE, has committed itself to inviting us to elections. Now, we have, in the preparation for our election observation, dealt with the National Association of Secretaries of State, the different local officials who are responsible in each state for the overall running of elections in that sense, and have had great cooperation from them. This is nothing new that we've done before, and is not a violation of sovereignty. We're not here to grade the elections or judge or in any way interfere. We're here to look at the process according to good practices, international standards, and as I said, U.S. legislation, and make recommendations that would help improve the process if there are ways in which we feel that a process could be improved.
Okay. Now, and you say the Organization for Security and Cooperation is not part of the UN. Are you partnered with the United Nations?
Not part of the UN.
Okay. Are you?
It's not at all part of the UN or in any way structurally associated with the United Nations.
Okay. So
it's
you're.
Independent regional security organization.
Okay, and you're not partnered with the UN. According to this article, it says you're partnered with the UN.
We're not partnered with the United Nations in election observation. We are part of broader groups that include, for example, U.S. NGOs and perhaps the United Nations, and in broader issues of election observation techniques and activities in the world, in our actual activities in the observation of elections, we have no connection to the United Nations.
All right, Mr. Rymer, and you guys are going to be monitoring this year's election as well. What do you see? What do you look for when you're looking for what we most of us call it a red herring, because there's voter fraud on both sides of the spectrum, and a lot of the voter fraud that most of the pundits blame are from voters, when actually voter fraud is usually committed by one or other party.
Okay, the thing is, the outcome of the election or any the activities of one particular party or another are of no relevance to us in our process. What we look at are different elements of the election process, including voter and candidate registration, the role of the media and balance in the media, the efficiency and effectiveness of election administration in running the process, appeals processes, complaint processes, and in the broader sense, just how the election adheres to the laws in each particular state, in the case of the United States, and international standards and OSCE commitments.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Rymer, thank you very much. I appreciate the time you spent with me, and I will keep in touch to see how things are going around Election Day, okay?
All right, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. You have a great day.
No problem at all. You too. Bye-bye.
Well, as you can see, now according to this article, the United Nations affiliated election monitors from Europe and Central Asia will be polling at places around the U.S. looking for voter suppression activities by conservative groups. Now, according to Mr. Thomas Rymer, they are hired by both parties, Democrat and Republican. So that ought to tell you, the reader and the audience, something, that there is something amiss here, and this is an agreement that was made internationally without U.S. residents or citizens' approval. And as far as I'm concerned, just by reading the Constitution, this is a clear violation of our national sovereignty. So if I were you, I'd keep an eye on this, and I will myself. I will be contacting Mr. Rymer again to find out exactly what's really going on. I'm Chris Kemp reporting for the Newsreel Group. Have a great day.